In game one, Orlando didn't just beat Detroit outright as underdogs. They led wire to wire in that ballgame. The Pistons never even had a lead at any point, despite being home favorites against the Magic in that ballgame. And guess what? The Pistons aren't just home favorites tonight. They're minus 8.5 against Orlando. Can Detroit bounce back and win by margin? Let's talk about it. Teddy covers wagertalk.com with the big game breakdown for Wednesday, the 22nd of April, 2026. Thank you so much for watching, guys. We really appreciate the likes, the comments, the follows. Thank you for your support. And I'm trying to put out these plays, free plays, at least one every day throughout the postseason, at least at this part of the postseason. So we really appreciate you watching each and every day right here on Wager Talk TV. Like, comment, follow. Thank you. Look at the Odds Logic Live odds screen right now. Detroit minus 8.5, pretty much across the board. It was as high as 9.5 yesterday. We have seen money come for the underdog over the last 24 hours. And yes, that's sharp money for the dog, even in a spot where, in theory, the Pistons are supposed to bounce back. Total in this game, again, looking at the Odds Logic Live odds screen, 218.5. The prevailing number. There are some 219 starting to pop. The sharp money has come for the over in this ballgame, which is interesting to consider, especially when we start talking about some of the coaches' quotes. But I want to start with what the Pistons actually are, in my opinion. All right. Detroit was a great regular season team. Why? Because they cared. They cared about every game. They were hungry. They were young. They had something to prove. And lo and behold, at the end of the regular season, Pistons locked into the number one seed in the East. That does not make them the best team in the East. That does not make them legitimate big favorites here in the postseason in the East. So the Pistons' regular season success may be hurting them when it comes to where their value is or lack thereof here in the postseason. That was a big part of the reason why I took Orlando plus the points for my clients and I in game one. Obviously, no sweat in that one. But the thought process there was, this is a Pistons team that A, hasn't won a playoff game at home, and by any margin, since 2008. All right. B, Detroit, as a regular season team, does not have that playoff pedigree. You know, what did they do last year? They gave the Knicks a battle. They lost all 3 games at home. They won a couple on the road. They didn't win any playoff game last year by any kind of margin. I think they won the 5 or 6 points was their biggest margin of victory. And again, didn't see any signs of Detroit being ready to cover this number in game one. So the Pistons, no postseason success. Orlando's a team with more postseason experience. The Pistons only made the playoffs once last year. This is it. Orlando's been there the last 2 years. So I'll give the Magic the playoff experience and the playoff hunger edge in that regard. And again, the Pistons, when you think about that winning in the regular season is not the same thing as winning in the postseason. When you win in the regular season, it has a lot to do with how hungry you are, how young you are, how urgent the regular season is for you. And for the younger teams, for the teams that are just fighting their way, the regular season means everything. I understand why Detroit did what they did. Bickerstaff, a great regular season coach, not so much in the postseason, but in the regular season, Bickerstaff, his teams come to play every night. Detroit was young, they were hungry, they were focused. But all that's factored into this point spread, and all that's rearview mirror now. All the pressure's on Detroit, all of it. All right, is Orlando playing with pressure tonight? Hell no. They already won game one, and that is a concern here. Especially with the extra layoff. All right. The fact is, these teams, these teams played on Sunday, and now 2 days for Orlando, sitting around the hotels in Detroit, tapping their fingers before they play today. That's something of a concern for me here. I would like the Magic more. This should probably be a client play if this was the game played yesterday. I think the extra day does help Detroit. It helps their focus, helps their energy, and I think it hurts Orlando in that regard. But I'm telling you, this is something I did a video before the playoffs started talking about my top 5 playoff tips. And one of those top 5 tips was if a series is mispriced in game 1, it's going to be mispriced the whole way. The books are not going to make a big adjustment right now for Detroit, Orlando. Again, game 1, 8.5. Game 2, 8.5. We're not seeing the market going, all right, no, the Magic, we really mispriced the Magic, and Detroit's not quite as good as we thought. Well, now we're going to make a big adjustment down to 6.5. No. So when a series is mispriced in the beginning, it's going to be mispriced the whole way through. And while I talk about Detroit as a regular season team, Orlando is the antithesis of that. They were the anti-regular season team. All right. The Magic underachieved all year long. Coming into the postseason, everyone's talking about, Powell wants Mosley to be fired. And there was a lot of buzz about that, a lot of smoke. And then what'd they do? They had the bad loss in Philly and came back and made the playoffs and then won here. And all of a sudden, we're not hearing, everyone wants Mosley to be fired anymore. This was a Magic team. Again, they were in the playoffs last year. They were in the playoffs the year before. They did not win series in either one of those two, but they've been here. They made the moves last season. Remember, they brought in Desmond Bane as a win-now move. Trading away future draft choices for a guy who can help you get up the next level. And in the regular season, nothing worked. They battled injuries. They battled ineffectiveness. There were a lot of concerns about, and I think, honestly, injuries may have been the biggest factor. Wagner, in particular, is a guy who, when he's in the lineup, Orlando's offense works. And when he doesn't, his playmaking ability out of the power forward slot is really unique. It was a problem for Detroit in game 1. And I think with all the injuries, all the time he missed during the regular season, as much as anything, that hurt Orlando. Now they're healthy. All right. They're healthy. They're a veteran team. They're built to win now. And they're playing an opponent who hasn't covered any of these spreads, hasn't won a playoff game by any of these margins, doesn't seem to have much of the home field court advantage. And who's the pressure on tonight? It sure ain't the road team. All the pressure on Detroit. So I think you know where I'm leaning in this ball game very clearly. But before I tell you exactly what I'm going to do, I do want to talk about the total just a little bit. And I also want to let you know what's going on right now at wagertalk.com. I'm running good, guys. I tell you when I'm running bad, I'm running pretty good right now. 77% across sports, 10-3 over the last 5 days. The baseball's been hot. The NBA playoffs have been hot. I do have a pair of selections up. Actually, I have 3 selections up for today. One of them I posted as a free play as well. So you can check it out on my homepage, wt.buzz/TC. I'm playing the NBA playoffs and obviously the MLB baseball for tonight. But my advice to you, as always, don't ever buy a play. Don't. Get on board. If you want to get on board, do a package. You want buy 3 days, get 3 free. It's $69. You want my entire NBA playoffs? And again, I've made money. Good money in the NBA playoffs each of the last 4 years. I expect to do it again this year. We're on a good run right now. Take $50 off my NBA playoff package. Go to NBA packages, drop down menu. Take $50 off. $175 for the playoffs. Get it for $125. That's every play, every day, right through Game 7 of the finals. Use promo code PLAYOFFS50. Again, playoffs with an S. 50. I got this wrong yesterday, and I apologize. So originally it was playoff 50, and they changed it to me because I wrote playoffs. So playoffs 50 is the promo code. Take $50 off. Get my entire postseason. $125 right now. www.buzz/TC. Total wise, this is a really interesting game, and it comes down to this. So I got this one really good quote from JB Bickerstaff. Quote, and of course, when the coach is talking, I want to hear what he has to say. Bickerstaff talk about the game 1 loss. It starts always with us defensively. So, and my first reaction is, look at the under. But then, when you go back and watch the film of that game, we weren't ourselves defensively. The telling tale is typically when we play them, they go to the free throw line a ton. We went 38 times, but they went 19. So that means we weren't playing our brand of basketball, being physical, being handsy, being aggressive. That kind of sets the tone for us. That quote to me stands out, and I don't know how to bet it. It's a really fascinating quote. But when you break down the layers, he says, look, our defense wasn't what we thought it was going to be. We need to be more handsy, more physical. We need to send them to the free throw line more. That's an overquote, you know? So the defense being not as good as it should be tells us look at unders. When we talk about the quote from the coach saying we need to foul them more and be more physical with them, the best thing you want for overs is points at the free throw line. Nothing correlates more with NBA overs than free throw attempts. Plain and simple. I mean, it's a direct straight line. The more free throw attempts, the more overs you cash. So that leaves me on the sidelines for the total. It's a fascinating game to consider, a fascinating total to consider, but a difficult one for this bettor to wager on. So we'll go with Orlando plus the points and sit on the side for the total for this one. That's the recommendation for today. And thank you so much for watching Wager Talk TV. Again, check out my homepage, www.buzz.com/TC. And by all means, the likes, the comments, the follows make all the difference. Thank you for your support. Stay tuned right here on this channel for more quality video content and have yourself a great betting Wednesday. Cheers.